Hello friends, welcome to the Ancient Health Podcast, where East meets West. I'm your host, Dr. Chris Motley. We're going to talk about grounding, about putting your feet in the dirt, in the soil, putting your feet in the water, in the sand, doing some forest bathing, doing something where your skin and your body comes into contact with organic earth material. First of all, some of you may ask, what is grounding? Why is it important to me? And if it is important to me, does it work? Does it help? And in my opinion, yes, it does very much help. But we want to discuss the technique of grounding and how it benefits your body. And do grounding material, mats, bed sheets, do they work? I've seen many of them work within my practice. And one of the things I suggest to my patients is, as you start to ground, you have to be very gentle at first, because when you start to move ions throughout your body, you're going to see some changes. So this podcast, we're going to discuss what it is, why it's important to you, how much you should do it, how many times a week, and what are some of the main benefits that you'll see. So this podcast may not be the longest podcast, but I just want you guys to see this as a practical tool, something you can do free at home every day. Now, what is grounding? Grounding is basically, in a nutshell, where you put your feet in the dirt. You can go to the ocean, into the water, put your feet in the water, put your feet on concrete, put on organic material, and you are transferring ions between yourself and the earth, between you and the water, between you and the dirt. In your body, your cells, a healthy cell usually has a negative charge. And please don't let me confuse you. When you do, let's say, biological dentistry, maybe you guys have heard of biological dentistry, they measure the health of a tooth or health of your gums by a small device, an EAV machine. And it measures the voltage. And what they say is, like, around certain teeth, around the roots of the teeth, if the voltage within a meridian, an acupuncture meridian, as you see here on the screen, the acupuncture doll, right? If you guys are listening, it's an acupuncture doll with Chinese medicine acupuncture meridians running through there. If a meridian has a positive polaric charge, like a positive 25 millivolts, then some practitioners would say that is the perfect breeding ground for cancer type activity. If you go to 0, you have a healthier cell. But if you go to the negatives, and people think it's negative, it's bad. No, negative 25, you're at one of the most, you're getting towards more healthy optimal cells if you're in the negative polaric range. So they would say when you do an EAV test on the gums, you want a negative polaric charge, not a positive. So let's go into the realm of the cell. The cell has mitochondria, right? The power plants of the cell. Everybody talks about mitochondrial health. But what's happening, if you can imagine, close your eyes and imagine this. You have a cell wall, and it has a membrane, and your body is pushing electrons in and out of the cell wall, like little passages, little gates in your cell wall, and your body's pushing electrons in and out. Now, these gates basically have much to do with the amount of vitamin C, vitamin E, CoQ10. These are some of the components or material your little gates in your cell wall need to push the electrons in and out. Does that make sense? You need the nutrients to push them in and out of your cells, your gate walls. You have these little passages, and when you push electrons in and out, if you can imagine, they're going in and out of the cell. And every time they're going in and out of the cell, they're creating these big combustion booms. Boom, boom, boom. You like that? Like a music? Yeah. All right. Okay, I'll stop. It's pushing energy in and out of the cell with that small combustion. And what is that combustion creating? ATP. That's what's happening in your mitochondria. So you're creating ATP with the movement of negatively charged ions known as electrons. So you're creating energy. Negative charged electrons are creating ATP. That's why it's so important to have negatively charged cells, predominantly. Now, there are many microbiologists and cell biologists that have differing views, and I'm here to hear all the different views. And I think if they have a better explanation, I think that please send them my way, and we'll put that on Instagram. I love cell biology, and I think that there's new research every single day. So I'm all about the research. So in your body, if you had quite a bit of positively charged ions or cells that are more positively charged, you want to even them out and help your body get more negatively charged ions. So when you ground and you put your feet in the dirt, you will transfer more positively charged ions down through your legs and down through your feet into the earth, and you'll capture electrons from the earth and it'll travel up into your body. So you push out the positive charged ions and pull in the negative. There are great books. One's called earthing.com. We could put that in the show notes, but if you want to just write that down, earthing.com, and they are some of the pioneers in talking about grounding. But grounding has been around for a long time. Now, I can go into story time, but if you look on YouTube or Instagram, there are stories of individuals who literally took aluminum foil and placed like a strip of aluminum foil tape across their bed underneath their sheets and connected a copper wire to that, basically that aluminum strip in their bed, and ran it out of their window into the ground, into a metal rod, into the earth. You guys might, like literally connecting your bed sheet or where you're lying down, like right on top of that metal, that aluminum strip or that metal strip in your bed, and you're actually transferring ions back and forth between you and that metal spike out in the dirt. And they were showing pictures of individuals who had inflammatory states within their thermography, like a thermogram, a heat sensory test, shows all the heat in the body built up. And they were showing that it reduced people's inflammation dramatically while they were being grounded to the earth. Some individuals reporting that they had major types of healing. Now, when you have this technology and it's being now really investigated, it is something that everybody can do, and it, in my opinion, has had profound effects on people's health. And you can do this at home. So what are some of the main things you could do to transfer the ions? You could simply go out and put your feet in the dirt. Some people would say be careful of the parasites in the dirt. I understand that. I like to go to the ocean and put my feet in the water. Some people go to the sand and put their feet in the coral sand. Some people believe like they could put their feet on the rocks, right? Around the streams, or like outside if you have your favorite rock. No pun intended. Some people say hug a tree. Hugging a tree, tree huggers. And some people say having plants around your house. Having plenty of plants, touching the plant, talking to the plant, contact with the plant. They are grounding you. Using earth organic forms is great. And you want to transfer those positive ions out, getting those negative ions in. And another way from earthing.com and some of these really great companies is that they are making material like bed sheets, bed pillow covers, pads, mats that you can put underneath your body while you're sleeping, or even underneath your feet while you're sitting at your desk to actually transfer those positive charged ions out. And the main premise is because when you're on your computer or on your laptop, or if you have something electrical on your lap, if you're sitting in front of blue lights all day, that can cause toxicity in your body and cause a lot of positively charged ionic polarity in your body. So how do you get rid of it? You remember, we're grounding rods. We capture the electricity, many times the voltage and the vibes off other things, other people, our work, our job, the environment we're in, and we need to have a way to get it out. Have you ever been in an environment so toxic to you? Raise your hand. Well, not while you're driving, but if you're there and you think, man, I've had many times in my life where I've been in environments at work, at school, around people that I just know that just not only drain me, but I feel toxic around them. Why? Because they're creating toxicities in your life because of the way you may think around them. And or when they're around you, You may serve as a grounding rod for them. Now, I'm not trying to divert from grounding, but you can be a grounding rod for others. Have you had anybody in your life that gave you a hug or latched onto you, or you were near them and you felt like the energy was drained from your life? Some people call it energy vampires. Some people call them energy suckers. And that's true. You have to be careful if other people will pass their positive ions to you and you give them your negatively charged ions, giving your health away. That's a side note. Not only can we get drained by our computers, by our iPads, by the electrical activity around us, by toxins in our air, food, and water, by parasites, by yeast, mold, viruses, bacteria, Lyme disease, but emotional energy can drain you as well. And one of the most effective ways to help battle this is to stay grounded in you. Stay grounded in yourself. Now, I'm not saying deny the higher powers, higher source, God, at all. I believe you have to have the help of God, help of the divine to help you stay grounded. Stay grounded within yourself, as in being very stable. But I believe God gives us the earth, gives us the water, gives us good people around us, gives us the trees to help us stay grounded. And what is another pattern of grounding? Is meditation and prayer. They have shown very huge projects where they've had people in deep meditation and prayer and they stay grounded. Literally, their cells stay in a negatively charged ionic pattern when they're in meditation and prayer. So not only is it important when we're in a world of electricity and toxicity that we learn how to ground ourselves, but also to ground ourselves and not be around negative, or say people that may not be the best for us. So, okay, when I talk about grounding, these sheets, these mats, these pads, you can look at earthing.com. There are many very good earthing mats out there. And some of them have a wire that's literally connected to a wall outlet, and it will actually ground your feet as you put your feet on there if you're around electronics and you're grounding all day. So I want you to make sure, I have mine right over here, my grounding mat, and you can even sit on it. But make sure that you research this. Because I am adamant, if you're around toxicity in your life, any of those patterns I just talked about, grounding is a simple, easy way. Go to earthing.com or go into a great, reputable website that has grounding material. I like earthing.com because they've been around forever. But you could research and find out some that have really good reviews, and it'll transfer. You want that material to transfer all that toxicity out of your life. Now, if you can in the mornings, you could get up in the morning and you go out and I'm one that I've seen so many parasites. There's parasites in the dirt. I'm not trying to say live in fear and not put your feet in the dirt, but I'll go outside in the grass and just put my feet in the grass, even if it's for like 5 minutes. So I don't want you to be afraid of parasites or get too overworked about parasites in the dirt. But what I like to do is go out and put my feet in the grass and just have a little spot around my back porch and go out to the grass and spend about 5 minutes on there. 5 minutes on the grass, maybe with your cup of coffee, and maybe even sitting down, closing your eyes, and having some prayer or meditation about your day. And if you have a day where you're going to encounter some negativity in like the mood, or if you're going to have some toxicities produced by people around you, it's good to go ahead and ground in the morning and get those things flushed out, and it's not a bad idea to do it at night. That's why I like to do infrared sauna at night. It goes in and heals the internal area, and then I like to go outside after I'm done with my infrared and then even go grounding again. And sometimes I had to be more adamant because I work with electricity and people's chi and people's meridians all day, and I had to be careful. I need to go out, ground more, or do a good ice bath or cold bath. So cold baths are good, but not everybody wants to do that. So just simple grounding. If you live near the ocean, go put your feet in the water every single day. I mean it. If you're around negative people in an environment like a workplace, please go to earthing.com, find a new earthing pad or a grounding pad and put it underneath your butt while you sit, or put it underneath your feet while you're working. Another thing for grounding is you need to stay hydrated with plenty of well-structured water. You need to also use enough electrolytes and enough minerals. I couldn't suggest it even more with Beam Minerals, B-E-A-M, Beam Minerals. My friend Carol, she created this company. Beam Minerals are amazing. They're fulvic and humic minerals. I'm not trying to plug them, but I have used them and I use them every single day. Get remineralized, get hydrated, do practices every morning possible to ground, do some infrared if possible, and do some extra grounding at night. Don't forget prayers and meditations. And if you have negative people, I say the negative, not negatively charged, but just negative people in your life, make choices to ground so that your mood stays strong and that you can withstand and build your chi and your force field up. That's the big importance of grounding. Grounding works. Hug a tree, for crying out loud. I am not kidding. I think many of you guys know what I'm talking about. You may feel very unstable. You may feel like you're not rooted, and that means you need to ground more. So please put this practice into play. Don't get so moving around where you're feeling frazzled. Stay grounded. Look at earthing.com, review these things, take these steps, and make this a simple daily practice. All right? If you like this information, like and just give us a like. Comment on it. Tell us if you want to hear more information like this. And if you want to hear more about earthing, let me know. And we're going to talk about this information. These solo podcasts, I like to touch base on these subjects within the membership. If you want to go dive deeper into grounding or any of the subjects we talk about in the solo podcast, please check out the membership. It's on my website. It's also on my bio. And I'd love to see you there. I do a weekly live Q&A. Like, we get to talk face to face, talk about these things. We have a community of like-minded people that you would enjoy here. All right? All right, guys. From all of us here at the Ancient Health Podcast, I hope you have a blessed day. Take it easy.